Hello and welcome. This is Saad Usman. In this video, we are going to discuss the dynamic array formula called rand array. Excel users are aware that we used to have rand and rand between in Excel for quite some time. So what does rand array do which these other two formulas cannot? Let's take a look. The syntax of rand array comprises of no mandatory arguments. It means that rand array without any parameter will also work. For example, if I just put rand array and close the bracket without any parameters, it will still give me an answer. The optional arguments is where the exciting things are. These include rows, columns, min, max, and an integer, which is a boolean value for integer or otherwise. Rand array contains the power of both rand and rand between. There are certain limitations in rand and rand between. For instance, rand will generate decimal numbers between 0 and 1. For example, if I were just use rand without any parameter inside it, it will give me a random number between 0 and 1. For a number higher than 1, we had to perform some workarounds. For example, if I were to generate a random number between 51 and 100, then I would doing it like this. So it will give me a number between 51 and 100. So we had to perform some workarounds to get a value other than 1. Similarly, in rand between, the resultant values are always whole numbers. In order to get the decimal values, we had to perform some extra work as well. In case of rand between, we only used to get whole numbers between a certain range. For example, rand between, if my minimum value was 1 and maximum value was 10, I would use the formula rand between, and in this case, I would always get a whole number. The formula rand array has got the power of both rand and rand between. I can create a single value between 0 and 1, and if I don't put any argument, for example, like this, random values between 0 and 1. And there are certain additional features which are not there in rand and rand between. Let's see. In rand between is similar to rand in the sense that it can generate a random value between 0 and 1. For example, rand array, and if I don't put any argument here, then rand array will generate a random number between 0 and 1. It is also similar with rand between. For example, if I wanted to get a random number between 1 and 10, then I would use the formula rand array. I would skip the row and column part, and I would get define a minimum value of 1 and a maximum value of, let's say, 10. And since I need a whole number, that's therefore I will use the last argument as integer or true. In this case, I'm going to get a random value between 1 and 10. If I press F9, I'm getting all these values. This is very much similar to the rand between function. You can see the formula here. I have chosen the minimum and the maximum value, and it is giving me the same result. However, rand array is much more powerful than rand and rand between. So what additional features does rand array have? Let's go over the argument. That there are certain arguments which we can provide in the formula rand array. If I were to generate a one-dimensional array, a list of values in rows or columns only, then in this case I can specify either. For example, I want to generate a list of numbers, random numbers and rows. I need 2 rows if I don't want to mention any column. The minimum value is 1, the maximum value is 10, and I want it to be an integer. So true, or I can also refer it to as let's say 1 or 7. In this case, I'm getting a list of 2 numbers because I mentioned 2 rows here. If I were to mention 4 rows, then I'll get a random number of in 4 rows. So this is how a random array can generate a one-dimensional array. We can also generate two-dimensional array if we are to put both rows and columns. So in this case, you can see that I've mentioned all rows and columns, and in this case, I have chosen a whole number, that is the integer value is true. If I were to make it a 0 or false, I would get the decimal values as well. So in case, let's say, put 4 rows here, I'm getting the decimal values between 1 and 10, and in a two-dimensional array of 4 rows and 6 columns. Let's go to another example. So I want to generate a random list of cities based on rand array. So how can I do that? I will have to use a combination of index and rand array. So let me first apply this. Let's first apply rand array. Rand array, I need a table of 5 rows, 2 columns. My minimum value, which so to say that I can choose from row number 1, which is Karachi, and the maximum value which I can choose from is row number 10, which is Sialkot, and I need, let's say, whole numbers. So you can see that I have generated a random array of whole numbers between 1 and 10. I'm going to use this in combination with the formula index. And in index, we can specify a range of cells in which we want to have a particular value based on this specified row or column. So in this case, I'm going to wrap it up with index. And in index, my array is from where I want my answer is this range. I will lock it up. And the row number which I am going to choose is will come from the formula rand array. So in this case, I will keep this as row number, and I will close the bracket and enter. And now you can see that I'm going to press F9 now. So it has generated a random list of cities. Like if I want to have only one column and let's say 7 rows, I'm going to get the same result and a list of cities randomly chosen from the given list. So we can make it 3 columns as well. Another example would be when a trainer or a teacher wants to make a point to the students and they want to generate some data. So the easiest way to do that is based on rand array function. For example, I have a list of products here, a list of months, and some sales rep as well. So I want to generate a table like this: month, product, sales rep, and sales values. So I can do something. I can use a formula rand array along with index. Let me first show you how. Rand array, my number of records required are 8. I'm going to use this. Column is 1, so I can leave it as blank. My minimum value should be 1, and the maximum value should be the number of entries available in the month column, which is 12. So I want to choose from each of these months. So the entry should be either January or December or whatever. So I'm going to choose the number of available entries by using the formula called rows. And after the maximum value, I'm going to choose whether I want to have an integer or not. So let's go with an integer or true. When I close the bracket, I have got the list of random numbers between 1 and 12. So I'm going to use this again in combination with index. And in index, I'm going to choose this range of cells again, lock it up, and I will choose the rand array formula to get the row number. If I press enter, this is the list of months that I've got. I can use a similar formula for a month for product. Let me copy this and let me just change the references here. Okay, I've resized the ranges as well, so let's see. Yes, there we go. Let me just lock the cell B40 so that we can copy it across. Okay, next I need sales rep. So let's copy the sales rep over here, resize, copy here, resize, enter. We've got a list of sales rep as well. Now in this case, I want to generate the sales values random numbers. So I can again go to rand array. Number of rows that I want is 8, and no columns, just one column. Minimum value can be, let's say, 100, and maximum value can be, let's say, 5000. And I want, let's say, integer. If I close the bracket, there I go. So you have a list of numbers here. I can make it to 10 randomized numbers or data from the list available, or 12. So you have got some data to show any particular Excel function on to the participants or the students. So this is a great way of generating random numbers, and rand array is much more powerful than rand and rand between. So I don't see the need to use rand and rand between anymore. We can all use rand array for all our purposes for generating random numbers. I hope you have enjoyed the video, and thanks for watching.